Clash of Clans is one example. You could look at the rest of the top 200 and just pick them, right?
Poker.
The Injustice one kind of stands out.
If you want to, especially if you want to go after, let's get more specific, right? Let's say 18-year-old to 25-year-old males, college kids, right? They're looking at games that are very challenging. They're looking at games that have lots of numbers and lots of stats. Or maybe you look at it the other way, right? Maybe they don't actually like those games more than people. How do I want to say this? Right? Other groups of people won't tolerate that much complexity, right? If you're 8 years old, you don't really, most 8-year-olds don't want a super complex game that's going to take an hour to learn, right? How many 8-year-olds are playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? Book this thick, a person who's going to sit there and read a book this thick before playing. Yeah. So the question is, how do you really engage them, keep them engaged, and then monetize them at that point? So I think it's just safe to say, right? There's kind of, and I'm not making any judgment calls. I'm not saying anything about these groups of people, right? But I think it's safe to say that as complexity rises, you start to appeal to this middle demographic more, and to these outer demographics less. And I'm not saying that these are the same. They're not. I'm just saying in terms of orders of magnitudes of complexity, this is probably what it looks like. And that's not to be confused with emergence, which is something we'll talk about in another class. I don't have time.
So is that 18 to 25 peak? Is that just because like I have like high brain functionality but plenty of spare time, and then as my life responsibilities increase, my ability to tolerate complexity elsewhere decreases?
I think that's, from personal experience, I think that's a very good call, right? More questions?
What's emergence?
That's another class. That's another class. All right.
One sentence explanation.
Emergence?
Okay. One sentence, just one sentence.
You got me. You got me. All right. So emergence is when you have simple. On the outside, the game looks simple, right? You're looking down at it and you go, this game's really simple. I can learn these rules in 5 minutes. And you play it, and you're like, wow, there's actually some deep combinations. Poker is probably a great example of emergence. The rules almost have very little to do with the skill of playing poker, right? It's everything else, right? So the more effects and the more metagame, if you know the word metagame, the more metagame that comes out of simple rules is a very clear indication of emergence gameplay or emerging gameplay. That's the one sentence. We're done. Let's get over.